I let my best friends watch my daughter. Now, we're investigating them. My daughter Allison is 1 year old. Her dad and I both work full-time jobs, where I work between 35 to 40 hours a week, and he works anywhere between 40 to 45 hours. We both work early morning shifts. My friends, Tom and Skylar, had volunteered to watch Allison for us as Tom worked from home, and Allison isn't known to cry very often. At first, it was going great. Tom would have Allison in a separate and baby-proofed room where she could play with her toys while he worked. Then Skylar would take over when she came home. We offered to pay many times, but they kept refusing. They had said it was because Allison was a joy to be around and that they had no problem doing a favor for their friends. They said accepting payment just felt wrong for something they volunteered and wanted to do. It got to the point where Skylar would ask us to bring Allison over if it had been a while since we asked her to help with babysitting. Finally, we agreed to let them have Allison 3 days a week, but they made us promise to stop offering to pay them. It was great for a while. It really worked out. But then Allison started coming home with rashes from stale diapers. She'd be extremely fussy and hungry by the time we got home. We would talk to Tom and Skylar about this and request that they be more observant of her diapers, at the very least. Her thrashing and screaming because the diaper ointment hurt broke my heart every time, especially since I knew it was avoidable. They'd say yes, but after a while, they would go back to their old habits. They then recently started lying to get out of our arrangement. They would claim to be out of town for the week, but then send us Snapchats of them being at home with their birds. They claimed they were sick, but our mutual friends would still be hanging out. They also claimed that they wouldn't be at home all week for work, even though Tom works strictly from home. His job doesn't even have a main office. Without them knowing, we registered Allison with a professional daycare service. I drop her off in the morning, and her dad picks her up. Word got to Skylar and Tom, and they started blowing up our phones, calling us evil, shifty, and rude for not telling them that they wouldn't have Allison anymore. They claimed I betrayed their trust by not talking to them about my concerns. I was confused to say the least. Then I noticed my daughter's rashes weren't getting better after a couple of weeks of her being at the daycare. It seemed that with every diaper change, it got worse and worse. When I took Allison to her pediatrician for an emergency appointment, I had thought it was a bad diaper rash she had come home with 4 weeks ago. However, when I went to the pediatrician, they informed me the rashes were actually chemical burns. When I explained the situation, my pediatrician looked at me horrified. That is when my pediatrician pushed for me to get the police involved. I didn't have to be asked twice. Soon after, Tom and Skylar were being investigated by the police for what they did to Allison. I didn't know a lot yet, but I was told that Tom and Skylar would in no way win the case. Tom was apparently unemployed the whole time. His job was actually maintaining a website he and Skylar made, documenting what they were doing with Allison and 2 other children. The website was taken down immediately, and the other parents were investigated as well due to evidence of consent. At this point, I still had no idea what they had done to my daughter. Soon after, a detective informed me that Tom and Skylar had admitted guilty to their actions. They provided the items that were used and I was told the burns likely came from a lubricant that Tom and Skylar used. Asked why they had it, but I prayed it was intended as a Desitin substitute. This was probably naive of me. Deep down, I knew that Tom and Skylar had physically violated my poor baby. Now, Allison is still home with me, and my husband and I are looking into a multitude of therapy options. We are also looking into moving back to where our families are or having my brother move in with us to help us ground ourselves to reality again. My mother-in-law has already booked a hotel nearby and is with us every day to help us make sure Allison knows she is safe and loved. I wish she could talk and understand that we won't let anything happen to her again, but for now, I will settle with holding her when she needs me and rubbing her back when she goes to sleep. I was blinded by 15 years of friendship and couldn't fathom that they had intentionally hurt my baby girl. I see that now and will forever carry that with me, as it was a failure on my part to protect my daughter. The rose-colored glasses are off now. Tom and Skylar have their sentencing next week. My lawyer is saying they'll likely be put away for a long time, that Allison will likely have graduated college before they're out. The longer they're put away and suffering for what they did to my daughter and those 2 other kids, the happier I am.